what we're talking about here is there's many states across the country who have cities that are trying to boost the minimum wage from $7.25, which is the federal minimum wage, and the state governments are stopping cities in the state from doing so. That's happened here in Alabama. Birmingham, which is the biggest biggest city, 74% African American. Last year they voted to raise from $7.25, which is the national starvation wage, to $10.10, which I got news for you, still isn't enough to live on. The predominantly white legislature voted that down, basically saying, hell no, we're not letting Birmingham raise their minimum wage. And I wanted to talk to you because I've talked to fast food workers around the country, but every story I think really puts a face to the struggle. You know, it's fine for me, like a white dude who lives, makes a decent wage, to talk about it, but talking to people actually experiencing it is a different matter. How old are you? How long you lived here? And tell me about how long you've worked at Burger King.
I'm 28 years old. I've lived in Birmingham, Alabama all my life, and I've been working around the Birmingham metropolitan area for basically since I've been able to work in the working field. What it means to me to earn more than $7.25, it means a whole lot. I would be able to afford so many things that I would be able to need, such as making the amount of payments for my rent, the electricity bill, the gas, the water, the insurance for the car, the maintenance for the car, the gas for the car. It helps when we have a living wage. $7.25 is not enough because sometimes we have to work 2 and 3 jobs just to make
sorry to cut you off.
That's okay.
When we say $7.25, that's before taxes.
Right.
So I'm just reminding people it's not actually $7.25. I'm not a mathematician, but you're talking closer into like after taxes 5 or 6 something.
Yeah, sometimes the check will be like 6 something, but after taxes you get like 420 something, not 470 or 80, 90 is 420 something. And you have to manage that or budget yourself enough so you won't have to, this gonna be off because I couldn't make an arrangements. Well, my water is gonna be off, my power is gonna be off. I need more than $7.25 so my water, power, rent can get paid in the amount of due time is necessary.
And meanwhile, you have people on television news saying, oh, the economy is coming back and, we're down to, 4 point something unemployment and the stock market's through the roof and all this stuff. But none of them seem to actually come out onto the ground, whether it's black communities, low-income white communities, to talk to people because I don't think the economy is coming back for a lot of young people. Right. And also, I don't know your story, but I'm assuming if you're pretty much one paycheck away from being on the street, if you wanted to go back to school, you can't probably. If you have a health condition.
Well, the choices are very difficult. It is extremely difficult to have to decide whether am I going to eat or whether am I going to keep my power on. Am I going to keep my power on or get gas for the car so I can make it to work to make more money to have so I can eat, so I can pay my insurance, so I can pay my tag fee, my maintenance fee on my vehicle.
It's kind of like, well, you're trying to think about other choices, but you probably can't buy a lot more.
No.
At $400 something a week, you're pretty much paying rent, the car insurance, if you have college debt. I don't know if you went to school.
Yeah, I went to college twice, and I finished once, and I'm currently going back for my undergrad for funeral directing and embalming. And it is pretty tough to try to manage 2 jobs and school. Sometimes the night classes, it'd be okay, but just getting back and forth from being so tired from working 2 jobs and being able to stay focused on schoolwork as well, it does get tied in. It's like burning the candle at both ends.
So, I guess State Senator Tripp Pittman, he said, I'm not for government really establishing the minimum wage, and I do encourage people to get all their worth. And if they are hired at the minimum wage, that they show the people who they are working for that they are worth more than that. So this guy apparently thinks oh, the great people at Burger King and Hardee's, they're going to pay you what you're worth if you just show up with a smile, you show up on time, you go the extra mile. Have you ever been offered an increase at work? Do people you work with get increases?
Oh, no, I've never been offered an increase at work, and nor has my coworkers got an increase at work. Like, we all work 2 and 3 jobs just to make one household last. I mean, what is wrong with it? Why would he say such a thing like that?
It's called white privilege. White folks sitting in their ivory tower. And
a white lie.
well, what I'm getting at here is, some lawmakers in D.C. as a gesture have tried to live off of food stamps for a week or live off of the amount of money that the poorest of the poor make, and they can't. They can't eat.
No.
And these people have probably never worked a day in their life in not all of them, but a lot of them have never worked in fast food. And you happen not to have any kids, but I'm sure a lot of your co-workers have kids.
Right. They do have kids. And some have 3 and 4, some have 2, or some just have 1. But the families that does have kids, they're not making enough to even afford their kids' shoes, school supplies, school shirts, and school uniforms. And sometimes they have to pay for lunch. And, oh, my goodness. And lockers. I have to pay for PE equipment. Like, sometimes the parents are not able to afford those things. Even field trips. Some kids miss out on field trips because the parents are not able to afford to subsidize or offer that kind of funds for the child to participate in a school activity. It's not always fun for a child to miss out on things that are a part along with their school.
Meanwhile, the governor of this state has taken a hell of a lot of money out of education. He's building 3 mega prisons from what I hear. Four, excuse me. Apparently, he spends a lot of money shuttling mistresses around. So when you see the state government, but let's make it bigger than just the state. You have, it's still funny to say it, President Trump, who, make America great, make America great. Well, he's cutting the EPA by 17%. He's cutting bank regulations. He's giving huge tax cuts to millionaires and billionaires, huge tax cuts to wealthy people. And when he writes when he does his little executive actions, he complains, "Oh, we're so unfair to big business in this country. So unfair to big business." I don't hear a lot of talk. He talks about the inner cities, but I don't see him down in the inner cities.
Come on down here to the inner cities and see how we live. How we get it done, how we survive, how we push to keep moving forward. The people that are in this city that are struggling, we do what's necessary. We'll wash cars, cut grass, pick up cans, rake leaves, babysit, do hair, sit with grandma, sit with granddad in order to even make those things possible. He's shuttling around his mistresses and women and hey, that's not how you feed people. That's not how you get the poor off of the street. That's not how you help your workers. If you want a society that is moving forward, moving up, get these people who, the millionaires, their tax breaks. The lower people need tax breaks. Like the poverty people, the people who are struggling making $725, we need those tax breaks. Millionaires don't need tax breaks. They need to give us their tax money. And maybe we can survive a little bit stronger and a little bit more versus not having it all.
Well, it's also like, all these people who they push forward this nonsense about, oh, if you raise the minimum wage, the economy will fall off a cliff, blah, blah, blah. If you went from $7.25 to $10.10, my assumption is that increase, you're not like putting the money under your bed pillow. Right. You're going to go spend it on things, correct?
I'm going to spend it on the necessary, such as get my bills caught up, my power bill, my water bill, my gas bill, and I will be able to fill my refrigerator with more groceries versus than just get me something to eat here or buy here and eat now. I will be able to cook at home versus spending always at a restaurant. The company, it offers health insurance, but you have to be there for an amount of time and able for you to even get insurance through the company that they will, and then they still gonna take it out your check, and you have to still pay for the health insurance through the company. They will pay for it, but it's still coming out of your check. So it really, the company really needs to in my opinion, it really needs to start off the employees with insurance from the beginning, because it will help, especially with health issues and the nutrition that we need to take care of ourselves, so we can keep pushing to work a full 8-hour shift.
Yeah, I'm talking. Why I brought that up is, I mean, the bottom line is, if you work at Hardee's or Burger King or whatever, forget even if you don't work there. If you're working for $7.25 an hour, so you're basically getting, I don't know, $300, $400 something a week in your paycheck, you're gonna go eat like fast food because it's the cheapest thing, which creates health problems, which creates more costs for health care, which creates more need for Medicaid, for all these things, whether it's Medicaid, Medicare, not to mention if you're working these types of things. I'm sure some people you know are on food stamps or need Medicaid. So basically, by paying their workers nothing, the government and the taxpayers including Republicans. It's not just a Democrat thing. Republican taxpayers, too, are subsidizing Burger King and Hardee's to pay you basically nothing.
And that's not fair at all. That's not fair to me. That's not fair to the other employees that are working to try to make a living wage. It is not, beyond it's not fair, is disrespectful. In my opinion, it's very disrespectful that we have to work so hard and deal with rude and irate customers, and sometimes rude and irate managers, because management sometimes always doesn't be there to help support and get the worker to be along with the working environment. We have managers that they do sexual harassment. They'll clock you out and still tell you have to work, go or wash dishes. Even though your shift is over, you still have to do extra work. It's not fair. It's disrespectful.
So let me ask you, because there's a lot on the internet, there's a lot of trolls, haters as we call them, and they say, well, stop bitching and go get another job. That's what they say. And I try to explain, well, it's not so easy to get another job when there are no jobs or there are no good jobs. Can you explain, if you're not getting paid a lot, is it easy for you to look for another job or find a higher paying job?
No, it's not easy to look for a second job, because you have to work in, and if you do get a second job, they have to work with the schedule that you already have. And sometimes the other company want all of your time, just like you're giving all of your time to the first company. But in some situations, you do have managers that will work together with your schedule to coincide with your income, because some managers do understand, some companies do understand